Hello, today I'm going to build a new home server. This is a small form factor computer. It's a HP Prodesk 600 G4. It came with a 4-core i3 8100 CPU, 8 GB of DDR4 memory, and a 256 GB NVMe SSD. I purchased it for 150 Australian dollars second-hand on eBay. The front panel has a power switch, an audio jack, 2 USB 2.0 ports, 2 USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports, a USB-C port, and there's also optional accessories, an SD card reader or a DVD drive, which are not present on my unit. The rear panel has audio in and out, 2 display ports, an optional third display port, gigabit Ethernet, 2 USB 2.0 ports, 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, and 2 USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports. To remove the cover, slide the latch to the side and then pull back and then lift straight up. The front panel can be removed by lifting the top 4 tabs. The drive tray can be removed by pushing in this tab, lifting up and pulling back. The inside of this computer is quite dusty, so I'm going to start by removing everything so I can clean everything. With those items out of the way, we have a better view of the motherboard. Here we have the CPU cooler, the memory cards, the NVMe SSD. There are 3 SATA ports, a wireless expansion slot, and PCI Express expansion slots. To clean the computer, I'm going to remove all of the components, starting with the CPU cooler unit. Now going to remove the memory. Now I'll remove the SSD. Remove the PC speaker connection. Next, I'm going to remove the motherboard. The motherboard should lift up and then slide back to be removed. To remove the power supply, there are 4 screws on the rear. Once the screws are removed from the power supply, you can press down on this green tab, slide the power supply back and up. With all the components removed, I'm now going to clean everything before reassembly. I've finished cleaning all the components, so now I'm going to put things back together. I'm going to upgrade the CPU. This new CPU is an i5-8500. It has 6 cores and higher boost clock speeds compared to the i3. I purchased this second-hand on eBay for 60 Australian dollars. To remove the old CPU, press down on the retaining clip and pull to the side. Pull the cover back and remove the CPU. Be careful not to touch or damage any of the pins in the socket. When placing the new CPU, make sure that the arrow marker lines up with the arrow marker on the motherboard. Place the retaining clip back in the reverse of the process used to remove it. I'm now going to apply new thermal paste and reapply the CPU cooler. When tightening the CPU cooler down, tighten them in a star pattern. So once, then diagonal, and then the opposite diagonal to ensure you get even pressure. I took the CPU cooler off just to check that the thermal paste had spread out enough and there wasn't quite enough. So I put a little bit more on and then reattach the cooler. Now I'm going to plug the fan back in. Now I'm putting the fan shroud back in place. I'll now put the power cables back in. Now I'll reattach the PC speaker. This computer comes with a single SATA power connector, but I want to connect multiple hard drives. So I've bought another cable with more connectors. But there's a difference. The existing cable only has 5 pins connected, whereas the new cable has 6 pins connected, and it's for a Prodesk G1. So my question is the motherboard, is this pin connected correctly so I can use this cable? So I'm going to check that now. Okay, now I've connected the power and I'm going to turn it on. And I'll check the power connector to make sure it's connected in the way that I need. So the black probe is on the ground, and then I have 5 volts on this pin, 12 volts on this pin, 12 volts on this pin, and 5 volts on this pin. So they're all connected, and I should be able to use my new cable without any problems. I'm going to use this 3 terabyte hard drive, which I purchased secondhand on eBay for $60. I'm planning to use this for network attached storage. I also have a 120 gigabyte SSD, which I'm planning to use for backups of the virtual machines or containers. Proxmox will run on the NVMe. I'm now going to install the SATA cables for the drives. And the new power cable. I'll now reinstall the drive cage. The hard drive will sit in the drive cage using these special screws. So I'm going to put these screws onto the hard drive now. With the 4 screws in place, the hard drive slots into the chassis like this. I did the cable routing off camera, but I've plugged in the 3.5-inch drive, and the 2.5-inch SSD I've placed in the area where the DVD-ROM drive would normally go. It's a bit of a tight fit and it's not secured, but I managed to get it in there. I'm now going to replace the front panel. And put the cover back on. Now it's time to boot it up and see if it works. I booted up the machine and I pressed F10 to enter the BIOS. Under the Advanced System Information, we can see that the memory has been detected, all 3 of my storage devices have been detected, and it's also showing our new i5 8500 CPU. The next step will be installing the software, but I'm going to do this in another video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.